El camarón que se duerme se lo lleva la corriente.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Que se duerme, se lo lleva the oxymoron, right?
Glasses. You snooze, you lose.
Hola! I recently had a trip with some of my family in Manzanillo, Mexico. Or Mexico. I've also been studying Spanish for a little over a year by way of reading, audiobooks, and a tutor. So going to Mexico was a perfect time to practice. And it doesn't matter that my tutor is from Spain and not Mexico. Spanish is Spanish, even with some colloquialisms aside. Neither my mom or my dad spoke to me or my sister in Spanish growing up, so we didn't really get an opportunity to learn. My impression is that they didn't really teach us English because they didn't want us to have an accent. Having an accent used to be frowned upon. And anyway, I grew up in a mostly Caucasian neighborhood and a mostly Caucasian high school, so I really didn't need it. I did take 3 years in high school, but you know how that goes, in one ear and out the other. Luckily, times change and now there's an uprising of cultural pride.
A renaissance.
A renaissance, if you will. And I'm proud to be able to get to learn Spanish. Back to Mexico. At a resort, you're somewhat secluded from the locals and the authenticity of the actual country. Which meant that the people with whom I could practice my Spanish was limited. I was able to speak with Juana, one of our servers at the resort. I think at some point Juana thought that I was fluent in Spanish, which was difficult because I didn't always understand her, and at some point I crossed a line and I was too embarrassed to ask her to repeat herself. So I just nodded and smiled. I think the next time that I get the opportunity to speak with someone in Spanish, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is gonna be, I'm still learning Spanish, but then move on quickly. Comment below and tell me which Spanish-speaking countries you've been to. I've actually only been to Spain and Mexico, but I hope to add more to that list as soon as I can. Recommendations are welcome. I was also able to practice with our taxi driver, Felix. He was amazing. He told us about Juanitos, this Mexican restaurant that I also highly recommend. My sister actually noticed this, but no matter who we spoke with, the first thing that they brought up in conversation was family. It's a very family-centric culture, whereas me, when I'm having a conversation, the first thing I always want to know is like, what do you like to do in your spare time? Like, what is your passion? So it's just a very different conversation than I would expect. But you know what? That just means that they're passionate about their family. I can really appreciate that. Lastly, I got to practice with the scuba divers at Discover Manzanillo. I will say that that's one of my favorite reasons to go scuba diving, is to meet locals and other like-minded travelers. Even after the dives, they invited me to Hoa Bar in Manzanillo, Mexico. I took my sister and we got to eat there and hang out with the divers and watch a beautiful sunset on the beach. It was kind of magical. I was really taken back by the friendliness of the community. They didn't have to invite me to anything, but they're so welcoming and open. After a couple hours of listening to some Spanish and contributing where I could, my brain did get a little tired, as did my sister's, from trying to follow everything that was being said. I mean, as much as possible, of course, but it was just such a good time. Have you ever seen 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas? There's this scene where he's sitting with a bunch of Vikings and he doesn't speak the language, but he's just sitting there by the fire, absorbing it through osmosis just by being immersed in that language. It felt like that for me. It felt like I was just gonna pick it up right like that. I didn't, but it was really great practice.
Where did you learn our language? I listened.
A couple of the difficulties that I ran into were, one, overthinking what I wanted to say in order to be more polite. For example, I could have just said a coffee to a server, like un café, por favor. That would have been easy, just a coffee please. But instead, I wanted to say, I would like to order a cup of coffee please. Me gustaría pedir una taza de café, por favor. It just takes more time for me to process how to say that. My second challenge was just tenses in general. If I wanted to tell a story about past, or I wanted to tell like a possibility of something that might happen in the future, I still have a lot of trouble with tenses, so I stick to the present tense as much as possible. At one point, we went to Comala and my sister and I went to this ice cream shop. When it came time for her to order her horchata, I had to have the server repeat herself 3 times before she lowered her mask to say it. And I understood it completely when she lowered her mask. It's a lot more difficult to hear the pronunciation through the masks. But other than that, it's exhilarating to get across a message in another language, and I really look forward to my next trip where I get to try that again. If you're interested in some simulated language immersion before your next trip too, check out this video. And thanks for watching.
Gracias.
If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye!
For me. Bless you.
Ahí es el centro de Manzanillo, es chico, Manzanillo es chico.
Colloquialisms? What is it again? Colloquial. Okay, never mind, you know what I mean.